talk about the beach and what unfortunate accident happened there. Our recent mission trip to Galveston, our religious theme was the Lord's Prayer. And as we all know, one of the lines is save us from the time of trial or deliver us from evil, depending which version you use. Considering the heat, the humidity, the word, all that stuff, I think we did well in our time of trial, but like I mentioned, there was at least one soul who didn't. That was the guy who got his boogie board snared on some rocks and drowned. One of the mission troopers, Cal Sherwood, said when he saw what was happening, he felt like the water get cold, though the water was like 80 or 90 degrees every day. Thankfully there wasn't a lot of the typical feelings of after death. Why him? Why now? Why is there? What is this so-called wonderful, loving God that we praise weekly? Can't answer all those questions, but I can propose my opinion on the one of the loving God. Like, why would something like this happen? I think it's because it's the same reasons that there's hunger and darkness and people like Nick mentioned who think like living conditions that you can't even imagine. So we're thankful for the things we do have. We know what those things mean, like what light means, and like what being full means, and what it means to have life, and like wonderful places like the Bay Area. Also, through Jesus, none of those things are eternal.
Hi, I'm Michaela. On this trip, there were 16 people that went to Texas, and we were split into two groups and assigned to do different job sites. My group was assigned to grout and tile. This was a first for me, and I didn't think it was going to be so messy until I had to work with Nick. On the first day, our supervisor, Andy, who was in charge of showing us how to grout and tile, showed us an example of how to make mortar and to put the tile down. And when he was finished, I thought it looked easy, but once I was paired with Nick, I was proven wrong. As we were working, we were able to find ways to make a mess of each other. For example, throwing mortar on Nick and getting mortar thrown back. This group took a depressing scene of poverty and misfortune in Galveston and turned it into a more positive and upbeat area. All the people that went on the trip with me became like family to me. Like, we bonded so well, and working with them was the funniest work I've ever done.
So I'm Sam, and I was part of the group where we were grouting and tiling. But within that group, we were split up into groups of tiling and grouting. So I was part of the grouting group, and let me tell you, grouting is not a lot of fun. It's very tedious, and really you have to be really clean about it. We had to, before we could actually put grout in between each of the tiles, we had to clean off the mortar to make it flat so it wouldn't show up when you grouted. And so we had to use these tools, which was either a spatula-looking thing that you normally use for spatulating, with a hammer, which you had to be really careful because if you chipped a tile, then you'd have to take out the entire tile and replace it with a new one, and it's a big pain in the butt. And our supervisor was not happy because we did that to 3 tiles. And then the other tool was a toothbrush combined with a nail filer, but made out of metal. And so basically we're just sitting on the floor for at least 2 days, scraping in between each tile. And it turns out that wooden shims work better to scrape off the mortar than the metal sticks that we were using. But grouting ended up being a lot of fun because we made lots of jokes about it and sang a lot after trying to get the sand in between each of the tiles. just would make us really excited and laugh a lot before we grout was Stephen's favorite line after lunch or something would be, "Do you guys ready to get on your knees in prayer?" And it was a lot of fun even though we were on our knees pretty much the entire week. But also we pretty much got the entire house done. We did one, like it was just one story and we got I think 3 rooms done, half a hallway and half the main room. And we had just lots of fun singing and grouting.
Hello, I'm Simon. You guys may know me because I've been hitting you up for money the last 6 months. And I would like to thank all of you for your support and for keeping us in your prayers. And when we all talk about the youth mission trip, we're talking about our mission trip as a church because it was not possible without your support. On our mission trip could have been a reality TV show on its own. We had 13 diverse youth from different parts of the Bay Area, combined with a priest, a mother, and Richard Kimming, who was our version of Chuck Norris. We had everything a reality TV show has. We had comedy, love, sad times, cool kids, broken hearts, and a common goal, which was to rebuild Galveston. And although not all of us worked on the same project, we bonded just the same. My half of the group did pretty much everything. We had to sheetrock a house for an elderly woman, and as every person in the world, she too had a story. Her house got 4 or 5 feet of water, which is about Sam's height for visual reference. When FEMA gave her money to rebuild her house and to life, a contractor stole it away from her. We also got to landscape a backyard owned by a World War II veteran in his 80s who has a mentally ill daughter. We helped reorganize an Episcopal church and a school that survived not only Hurricane Ike, but also the 1900 hurricane that wiped Galveston off the map. We grouted a house that was completely flooded and had to be redone almost from scratch. We put in laminated flooring at the William Temple Episcopal Center, which was our host for the trip, at a rapid pace that not only surprised Stephen, but surprised everyone who uses the center. We got to work in extreme conditions. One day it could be 100 degrees with 100% humidity, and even worse inside, and your shirt was soaked in 10 minutes. It was like a nature sauna. The other day, I would have my sweatshirt and sweats on because the air conditioning was on at full blast, coming in at about 70 degrees. When I came back, my good friend Sean joked that it was cool in the city and there was lots of fog, and I should have been jealous and homesick. I got fog in my glasses every time I stepped out of the car. I may have left my heart in San Francisco, but the fog certainly came with me. Overall, this was a wonderful experience. We all felt God's presence in the work that we were doing, and that we all had strength to keep going and not give up. On the last day, my group worked 2 extra hours because we all wanted to finish the flooring. We all put up a tremendous effort and got rewarded in the work that we did by going to the beach practically every day. We all learned how to grout, tile, sheetrock, as well as the most important lesson of all, that Stephen McHale cannot drive. If you did not say a prayer that day, you were certainly saying your prayers in this car. I even lost count of how many red lights you ran. Not only did our trip help the community of Galveston rebuild itself, but it also showed that there are teenagers who care about what happens in this world. And when we say in the Lord's Prayer, "Your kingdom come, your will be done," we are reminded that we build God's kingdom on earth, that we love our neighbor, and that we carry out God's name. Amen.
Thank you, Simon, for that. We don't normally clap in church, but I think these kids really deserve that because they worked incredibly hard under very difficult conditions, and they all wore purple shirts that matched to church, and we can applaud them for